Patch 8 stress test has just started for Baldur's Gate 3, and that means we finally have some concrete information on all 12 of the new subclasses coming to the game sometime in the near future. Today, I want to go through all 12 of those subclasses and break them into three categories. We have the winners, chronicling the ones that bring exciting new conventions to the game, or the classes as a whole, as they open doors for some really exciting multi-class potential, whatever that is. Then the losers, which seem flat compared to the other newer ones. The other category is undecided, because we need to see how the mechanics of the class actually play in the game and how they interplay with some other items that exist. Before we get started, this is not a tier list. I'm giving you purely my opinion based on the information on the BG3 wiki. I unfortunately did not make it into the stress test. My good friend Remortis did. So if I say that I think one subclass is a loser, but that's the one you're really excited for, then screw it. I'm just some guy on the internet. Go and enjoy your game your way. Also, we aren't talking about the OP potential here, although that will come up. We're more talking about what these subclasses offer as exciting potential. That's how I'm rating what is a winner or a loser, not how disgusting they are. Hint, the Bladesinger is disgusting. Now, in my typical fashion of upfronting the knowledge in my videos, the classes I've dubbed are winners with exciting new things coming are the Bladesinger, Hexblade, Death Domain Cleric, Swashbuckler Rogue, Arcane Archer, Path of the Giant Barbarian, and Shadow Magic Sorcerer. I'm on the fence right now about Drunken Master and Circle of the Stars, because we need to see how the drunk mechanic plays itself out and what items work in starry form to see what their potential would be like. Lastly, the losers are College of Glamour Bard, Oath of the Crown Paladin, and Swarm Keeper Ranger. But that's the too long didn't watch of this entire video, and if that's all you wanted to know, then please feel free to shut the video down. Before you head out, if this video ends up helping you, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out a ton. And don't forget to check me out on Twitch, linked in the description, where I will be playing patch 8 when it goes live. Well, let's get started on the winners and losers of the new subclasses in Baldur's Gate 3. So we're going to do this super casual, just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. I'm going to take a look at the entry on the BG3 wiki, and I can link you to that BG3 wiki, and you can just go ahead and do that. Unfortunately, sorry, blitzing. Yeah, that's right. You can't just click wizard and have them all here yet, because it's not officially locked in. And some of this is subject to change and what have you, so please consider all that. The first one I want to go into here is the Bladesinger, and I'm not going to break this apart by class. I'm going to break it apart across winners and losers. Bladesinger is the one I'm most excited for, and it's the one that I'm going to be doing a build guide for how to make a Jedi Guardian or Consular, I guess, depending on how you want to do it, with the Bladesinger and the Eldritch Knight fighter. And that's actually a shout out to Remortis. Him and I were talking last night about it, and I was like, hey, the first one I want to do is this. He goes, that's the one I'm making right now. So I'm not sure if it's up on his YouTube yet, but go check out my buddy Remortis. He will be putting out a build guide for that exact build that I'm going to be doing as well, but he has tons of 5th edition information. He's who I run majority of my 5th edition knowledge past before I make videos, so please go check him out. So the first thing here is Blade Song. So invoke the Blade Song, you gain a proficiency bonus to armor class, which is huge, and your movement speed is increased by 10 feet. You also gain advantage in acrobatics and a proficiency bonus to constitution saving throws. It's just like, dude, I'm not even done with this mechanic, and it's so good. You also unlock Blade Song Climax and the ability to accumulate Blade Song charges in combat. The climax here is the finale of the Bladesinger Wizard's Blade Song, and let's go ahead and do that. Unleash the full damage and healing effects of your Blade Song at once. Your Blade Song damage charges will harm enemies an additional 1d6 force damage, and your healing charges will heal you and your allies 1d6. It's just stupid good. And it's a bonus action, dude. Like, oh my God. We pop back over here, do that. Oh my man. So you also get proficiency in light armor, which is cool. You gain proficiency with daggers, sickles, short swords, rapiers, scimitars, and long swords. You get an extra attack at level 6 and Song of Defense at level 10. When you take damage during your Blade Song, you can expend a spell slot to subtract 5 damage per spell slot. This is so cool. Like, it is I think this is like the one, it's not even the one that I was like excited about, but it ended up becoming the one I'm now the most excited for, because I was like, this is exactly how I'm going to build out my Jedi build, which I've been sitting on I was originally going to do it as a Psi Warrior subclass using the mod, but this is it, dude. Like, there's so much cool potential with this build. And I think the Eldritch Knight's where I'm going to be going with it to kind of have some really fun combinations in here. But you could even throw this in to a lot of different class combinations. I mean, it's a wizard, right? So you're using intelligence, but just getting 2 levels into this and then unlocking all of this potential and then going hard in the paint as a Hexblade Warlock or as a Pact of the Blade Warlock, whatever you want to do, you can have a lot of fun with just taking just 2 level dips into this. Whereas a lot of builds too, they'll just take 2 level dips or even a single level dip into wizard to get the ability to scribe any spell you want. So there's just so much fun that is attached to the Blade Singer. I'm really, really stoked on that one. So that's the Blade Song. The next up here is the Hexblade, which is again, is one that people have wanted since the game came out. And we get to see a lot of cool stuff. Of course, Marsh Weapons, medium armor proficiency and shield, which is unique here for the Warlock. So they get an ability called Hexblade's Curse. So curse a target, your damage rolls against the target gain a bonus equal to their proficiency bonus. The number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking the target is also reduced by 1. And if the target dies, you regain 4 hit points. The 4 hit points is, negligible. Who cares? It's still health though, so that's great. And you get Bind a Hexed Weapon, which is very similar to Pact of the Blade. Bind to your main hand weapon, its damage becomes magical. You cannot drop or throw it, and you become proficient with it if you weren't already. When you attack with this weapon, though, there's a chance that Hexblade's Curse will be applied to the target. Is that not on there? Oh, it's right here. So let's take a look at that. Did I not bring it up? I did. Cool. So, curse a target. Your does all this, right? So the damage rolls against the target gain a bonus equal to proficiency bonus. The number needed to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1, and the 4 hit points. So in case you got confused as to what those are, because I explained it right here, but that's the curse. So there's a chance that the curse will be applied when you hit with your hexed weapon. So it's just going to be a lot of fun. You basically get Pact of the Blade right at the start with this route for the Warlock, which is nice because you can turn that on, that capability, way quicker than if you were to do it otherwise. And it's worth noting here, Bind Hex Weapon takes place at Pact of the Blade. If you were to go Pact of the Blade, you can't do Bind Hex Weapon and Pact of the Blade and dual wield. I asked for Mortis and he said, no, the Bind Hex Weapon will overwrite Pact of the Blade, or vice versa, I believe. But we get access to the Spell Shield and Wrathful Smite, Blur and Branding Smite, extra attack at 5 versus level 6, Blind and Elemental Weapon, and then we get the Accursed Spectre, which is really sick. I'll go into that in a second. Phantasmal Killer and Staggering Smite, which is awesome. And then finally, Banishing Smite, which is a capability that is only available to a bard, right? As we can see, I'll do this. You can see Banishing Smite is only accessible by the class and level. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a variant of this Banishing Smite, which is melee or ranged that you get from the bard. This one is exclusively ranged. Sorry, I forgot to say that, but like I was saying, Banishing Smite prior to this was only accessible by a level 10 bard through their secrets. This is now opening up the door for Banishing Smite accessible with a massive amount of force damage, as you can see, 5d10 for our Hexblade Warlock there. So we now have that at their beck and call, which is cool. They get level 10 Armor of Hexes. When a creature you cursed with the Hexblade's Curse attacks you, potentially nullify the attack as a reaction, as a 50% chance of succeeding. So a pretty cool one. It just depends on if you want to go all the way into level 10 for your Warlock or not. But this is the cool one here. So Accursed Spectre. Raise an Accursed Spectre from the soul of a fallen cursed target to fight by your side. The size of the fallen creature will determine whether you raise a feeble, mundane, or primordial spectre. Doesn't work with constructs, elementals, oozes, or plants. So this, of course, again, like it's based off the size. Let's take a look over here at the primordial spectre. And this thing is crazy, right? Look at this. Devour soul. Consume the soul of your warlock's enemy while healing the warlock for half the damage. So 2d6 necrotic plus half damage. Hit points restored. Pluck soul. Pull your warlock's enemy towards you. Reap soul. Unleash a set of hexed sickles and rip your warlock's enemies to shreds. 1d8 plus 1d8 plus 1d8 plus 1d8. It's ethereal. It's got dark vision. It's incorporeal movement. It's got opportunity. Well, opportunity attack. It is also resistant to pretty much everything when it comes to mundane weaponry. And then it has immunity to, or outright resistance to Oh, that sounds right. This is immunity. Immunity to necrotic, cold, and poison damage, and then it has resistance to all these other elements. So it's pretty beastly if you get the proper size of the of this creature, right? So you're not going to be using this the entirety of the game, but this just kind of shows you what the max beast you can have, right? Right behind you, materialize next to your warlock's victim, 1d12 necrotic damage on that thing. So you can use it as a reaction. So basically, as you as the warlock to your capabilities, this thing can just simply move to whatever you're doing damage to. So I really am stoked on the Hexblade Warlock. I think a lot of people are too, because this is the one that they've wanted to play the most. So this unlocks a lot of really fun, really kind of bruiser style of gameplay with the Warlock, with medium armor, shields, able to get up into the thick of it a little bit easier with a lot of really cool weapons, especially having a bound pet to them at level 6, which is a pretty early investment. You can do 6 Warlock, 6 anything else, and have a really fun character here. You could do 6 fighter, you could do pretty much whatever you want at level 6. It's a really good kind of jumping point. When you have that happen at level 7, it starts to kind of cause, okay, do I take 5 levels of this class or that class? Which one is the one I want to go with? So a lot of cool options unlock here. You could do a 6 Hexblade Warlock and a 6 Sword Bard for probably a ton of fun melee damage and interplay there. Now the Death Domain Cleric is stupid good too. So they get Reaper. So your necromancy cantrips that only target one creature can target an additional creature. And Toll the Dead, if you don't know how it works, it is really good. So let me go ahead and bring this up over here. Toll the Dead. It's a cantrip for 1, and it just does 1d12 necrotic damage. Well, not quite. You deal 1d8 if the target is at full health. So anytime you deal damage against something that has less health, you do less than full health, you do more damage. But at level 5, it does 2d12, 2d8 if left undamaged. And at level 10, the damage is increased to 3d12, 3d8 if undamaged. So this is a new cantrip that was added to the game. You can see Cleric, Death Domain, Warlock, and Wizard can access it. And it's real sweet. It's real sweet because they also get access to Shadowblade, which was prior to this only accessible by a ring. So now you can have this turn on tons of capable necrotic damage across the board. And again, you can target multiple targets with this. Level 2, when you hit a creature with a melee attack, that melee attack can be the Shadowblade, you can use your Channel Divinity to deal extra necrotic damage. So just tons of necrotic damage can come out from this character. And you can amp that even more if you wanted to go into a druid, using Circle of the Spores to add more necrotic flavor into this. There's just tons of necrotic damage in this game to play around with. And I think we have ways to play with it, sort of, with the Spore Druid, but this really turns on a lot of really fun necrotic damage play that I'm really stoked on. Blindness, we have Enfeeblement, Animate Dead, Vampiric Touch, Inescapable Destruction, so spells you cast ignore resistance to necrotic damage, which is a very common resistance. Blight, Death Ward, level 8 gives you Divine Strike, so you get more necrotic damage. Just a really fun domain to be brought to the class, and I'm really excited for this one because of just the amount of potential that this unlocks for the Cleric. So into our next one, though, is a Swashbuckler for the Rogue, which also delivers tons of potential here. So just looking at level 3, Fancy Footwork. If you make a melee attack against a target, that target can't make opportunity attacks against you for the rest of your turn, which is sick. And as you can see here, it's a passive feature. And that's what I really like about this one and Rakish Audacity. Rakish, actually, isn't it? No, like rake. Like, yeah. You know what? It just doesn't matter anymore. I can't pronounce or think anymore. I'm hopped up on caffeine. I don't even know whose socks are these. You gain +1 initiative, a +1 bonus to initiative rolls. This scales with your rogue level. We'll take a look at that equation in a second. You no longer need advantage to trigger sneak attack as long as you're within 5 feet of the target and you don't have disadvantage. That is sick because the Swashbuckler, not to use this word again, but is more of a bruiser style of rogue, really unlocking a lot of damage capabilities as just a straight up, I'm not sneak attacking, I'm getting up close and personal in your face. Those that played Baldur's Gate 2, I'm pretty sure Swashbuckler is one of the kits in Baldur's Gate 2. Maybe I'm thinking of Scald. Either way, It's a great way to just kind of play the rogue without having to deal with the sneak mechanic of the game, which isn't terrible. It's just kind of, it does have a learning curve attached to it. Next up we have for level 4, flick your, oh, oops. Did I not? Okay, I did. So let's look at this equation here. Okay, I didn't know if this was, it says scales with your rogue level, so I don't know what the scaling is like. If someone does know, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I was wondering if this scales every set of levels, whatever it is. Okay, hey, you've got breakpoints just like proficiency, where it does like a level 5 and level 8, whatever it is. So I'm not sure what that initiative bonus roll is and what those points are, but we do know that that is a feature of Rakish Audacity. Level 4, Dirty Trick, Flick of the Wrist, is sick. We get these 3 dirty tricks, which are bonus actions. So flick your weapon at the target and disarm them, or blind them, or get Vicious Mockery. I love it. I love it. So you actually get some capability with this class to have a little bit of range potential here. So insult a creature, it has disadvantage on its next attack roll, or gain advantage on your next attack, and gain advantage on your next attack, which is just sick. You just get Vicious Mockery. It does a little psychic damage, of course, that scales too, but Vicious Mockery, the benefit of it is the disadvantage and advantage portion of it, right? So that's just baked into the character class, which is simply a bonus action that doesn't cost a resource, which is cool, right? Like you don't have Dirty Trick resource, like, oh, you can only use 3 of these in a short rest. Nope, just use them, just a bonus action, disarm them or blind them. A lot of really cool stuff there. So for Panache, roll a persuasion check to beguile a humanoid who must contest it with an insight check. Enemies who fail gain Panache disadvantage. Others will fail, become charmed. And this is, you have disadvantage on attack rolls against all enemies except the caster. You also are unable to make opportunity attacks against enemies other than the caster. So just a really fun class that I think offers a lot of flexibility to the rogue, whereas prior to this, most of us were just taking rogue for thief for the extra bonus actions. But this actually delivers a kit to the rogue that allows me to spice into, I don't know, do I want to play the, do I want to make this with a fighter and go more with a champion? Do I want to go with the fighter and go with the battle master and do like a 4-8 split? There's a lot of really fun stuff that happens here, especially because all the dirty trick stuff happens only at level 4. So you have a lot of really cool stuff you can spice into a lot of other melee classes or melee multi-classes with this, or even just going pure swashbuckler has a lot of fun advantages given to it, especially since that sneak attack damage, remember, it scales every odd number of levels. So if you get this to level, I don't know, let's say 5, you can spice into another direction and have a pretty sizable sneak attack that you don't need to be sneaking for, right? You just need to make sure that you're within 5 feet and not be at a disadvantage, which is quite easy to do for a melee character. Moving on here, we have the Arcane Archer, which is another really cool one because it doesn't require so heavy of an investment. All you need to get is level 3 on your fighter, and you get 3 arcane arrow charges, and you can use them however you want. So you can do this with, if you want to go with like a ranged ranger that's using hunter or gloomstalker. There's a lot of really cool ways you can bring this into a lot of different characters that are specializing in bow and arrow. And you've got your arcane types, your bursting arrow, additional 2d6 force damage to targets within 10 feet, enfeebling arrow for necrotic damage, and it will enfeeble them. Beguiling arrow for psychic damage with charm. Banishing arrow will banish the target. Seeking arrow will do 1d6 force damage and apply fairy fire. Shadow arrow for psychic damage and blind a target. Grasping arrow for poison and reduce your movement speed by 3, and it will take 2d6 slashing damage when it does move. And lastly, we have piercing arrow that will shoot in a straight line, and each target must succeed a saving throw or be dealt an additional 1d6 piercing damage. So really cool because it adds so many really cool functional ways to approach being a bow and arrow character without just like, okay, I'm going to use lightning arrow right now or whatever it is. You don't even need to get up to level 6 if you want, and you definitely can. But the nice thing is both of these, level 3 and 6, everything recharges with a short and a long rest or a long rest. So you have a lot of ways to bring those charges back online, going even just to level 6, which is going to give you, of course, your extra attack at level 5, but level 6 gets you this arcane arrows at 6. So now you've got double the charges. And at level 7, which again is still not that heavy of an investment, it's very easy to go 7-5 and have a very workable character. So 7-5, when you miss with any magical range attack, use a bonus action to attack the next closest target with the same attack. And all your ranged attacks are considered magical to overcome resistance. So curving shot is a really sick way to just spread out a lot of damage in the event that you miss on a primary action. So a lot of fun stuff coming here with that Arcane Archer. It's also one of my favorite fighter subclasses in general. So I'm glad that it's a cool, it came to the game in a real true to form, like it's like almost a 1-to-1 from the tabletop. And it's a really strong one nonetheless. So next up is our giant or Path of Giants for the Barbarian. And this one's a little bit weirder because it's not like, oh man, this is so good because it's so great. It just makes being a throwing barb even better in my opinion. So enter rage and increase in size. Your rage bonus is doubled on throw attacks. That's the biggest thing there, right? Also, Vaprax's Greed, your carrying capacity is increased by 1/4, and you get Thaumaturgy as a cantrip to cast at will. Try to kick a target away. Your chances depend on your athletics and are higher if you're hidden or invisible. So you just straight up chuck someone with your feet. But the big one here is level 6 for Elemental Cleaver. Channel Primordial Might into your weapon. Until the end of your rage, your weapon will deal additional acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage and gain the thrown property. Remember, if you throw a weapon that does not have the thrown property, it will not use its damage stats. Its weight is what does the damage. Here, with the thrown property, you can apply any weapon you want and turn it into a thrown weapon, which is huge. So a thrown, it will immediately reappear in your hand too. So this makes it so that you don't have to kind of game the system and use the Draconic Glaive to add elemental damage. You don't have to use an Eldritch Knight's special bond, weapon bond. You can just simply use Elemental Cleaver at level 6 and boom, you're good to go. And also up to level 10, throw a creature object that is medium-sized or smaller for Mighty Impel. You don't even need to go that high if you don't want, but still, you can just do a pure throwing barb and get, it's not called Bare Knuckles Boxing. What's it called? Like the thing that doubles your throw damage, you know? Like I don't know how rage damage bonus and that work together. So this could be, it's going to be a disgusting subclass, but I want to see how disgusting it's going to be once we combine that feat option with this plus Elemental Cleaver. I think it's just, you're going to have so many cool ways to approach this throw barb, which is already a very fun character to use prior to patch 8. Next one here is Shadow Magic, which at first blush doesn't seem cool. And I'm going to talk about this. There's some cool options here. So Superior Dark Vision, that is what it is. Strength of the Grave. After reaching 0 hit points, you'll regain 1 instead of becoming downed. This is awesome. And I don't know what the interplay is between this and say a Orc's capability or a half Orc's capability to Relentless Endurance to have the exact same effect. I don't know if you get 2 of them. I don't know if one takes over for the other. And for those that do know, if that's like a basic D&D rule, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I'm sorry, I'm not smart. But you'll get that capability just at level 1. And what a lot of people will do for some of their multi-classing for Sorcerer is they just take 1 level into Sorcerer to get access to Constitution proficiency. So if you were just to take this Shadow Magic, that makes any subclass or any kind of multi-class you're trying to do after this so much better, because now you just basically get this free get out of jail free card right there, which is awesome. And you get your Constitution proficiency. Level 3 is, darkness. That doesn't seem too crazy, right? I'll go back to that. Level 11 is Shadow Walk. Teleport into the shadows. The next spell you cast that turn will benefit from Distance Spell without costing any sorcery points, which is really cool, but it's a leveling capability. Why is this a good one? Why did this win? It's because of Hound of Ill Omen. Hound of Ill Omen, I think I already had that up. I did. Hound of Ill Omen is what the French call Dirte. It's Shadow Magic Sorcerer class action that allows them to summon a Nimbus, a Shadow Mastiff. Now, Nimbus here is going to cost you a bonus action and 3 sorcery points. You're like, God damn, that's pretty steep. But Nimbus doesn't have a time length on him. He recharges on a simple short rest, which is very easy to do. He's not going to last for any set amount of turns. He gets Umbral Tingle, trap your enemies in Shadowy Vines. That's pretty cool. I don't get it. What's the cool thing here? Bite a target and possibly place an omen on them. What does that do? Hound's Omen. A dark omen that can be of acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder. Your choice. And when damage of that type is dealt to the affected entity, the owner of the hound regains 1 sorcery point. So you can set that to be whatever cantrip you're trying to use primarily, whatever damage element you're trying to do primarily, but you get access to unlimited sorcery points with the Hound's Omen condition from this bite. I do not know the chance of this omen triggering, and for those that maybe are in the stress test that do know this information, again, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. But that is so sick. That makes it so fun to play a Shadow Magic Sorcerer, because now you just get access to all the things. Well, the thing that makes Sorcerer so distinctly awesome is supercharging things with these sorcery points. So you can just do this throughout combat and have a battery for your sorcery points that allow you to constantly replenish. So those are all of our winners. Let's go into my 2 undecided ones now. Starting with the Druid, we have the Circle of the Stars on my undecided portion. Circle of Stars is cool because we get access to 3 forms. Starry forms, I don't understand how they work. Is a passive feature that grants the starry forms to a Circle of the Stars Druid. I don't know what we can do in starry form. Again, for those that are in, go ahead and let me know. Constellation of an Archer appears on you. As a bonus action, while in the starry form, you can cast a Luminous Arrow, which does, what's it called? Starts with radiant damage. Haha, there it is. Radiant damage. So you can do radiant damage. Chalice, you get a Chalice of Healing. Heal themselves or another creature. Cool. And then you get the dragon form, which is cool because now when you make a saving throw to maintain concentration on a spell, a roll result of 9 or lower is considered a 10. So it's going to be a lot harder for you to fail. As a bonus action, you can also cast Dazzling Breath, which is an AoE luminous, again, radiant damage ability. So we'll come back to these 2 in just a second here. I'm going to pop them up into 2 new tabs. Star maps used to cast certain spells without a spell slot, replenished by a long rest, and you gain additional spells from your circle. They are always prepared. Guiding Bolt and Star Map Guiding Bolt. So you can use your star maps to cast Guiding Bolt. And that's going to be important to what I'm going to talk about in a sec. And you also can cast Guiding Bolt. Remember, Guiding Bolt also too has its advantage portions of it. Cosmic Omen. Whenever you long rest, you can consult the stars for a Cosmic Omen of weal or woe. I think it's also, I believe it's also veal, isn't it? Or isn't it like the veil? Isn't that it? Isn't that how you pronounce that? That's veil. Someone can help me. Someone can help me. The Omen grants you the ability to increase the veil or decrease woe, attack rolls and saving throws, and to increase your abilities checks. So basically you get the capability, kind of like the divination wizard, to have set rolls more or less. We'll go into it in a second. And you get 3 shots of that at level 6. At level 10, your starry forms are improved. The archer's damage and chalice's healing are increased by a 1d8. And the dragon ability gains the ability to hover and fly at movement speed of 20. So going 10 pure circle of the stars is actually super good, because Dazzling Breath here does 2d6 plus wisdom modifier radiant damage. And then Luminous Arrow does 1d8 plus wisdom modifier radiant damage. And again, at level 10 does 2d8. And at level, does it say level 10? Okay, no, it doesn't. So why are these good? Why is all this good? You know, we also have the Guiding Bolt here, and Guiding Bolt rolls against this target have to have advantage when they hit, right? So all that stuff kind of comes together. And 4d6 radiant. If you use the luminous armor, the coruscating ring, that one helmet too from the place in Act 1 Crossroads, there's a way to stack so much crazy radiant bonuses in this game, just like you can for a light cleric, that I think it makes the Circle of the Stars Druid stupid good. But I do not know how that armor, how that gear operates when you are in wild shape charge or wild shape form, or how the starry form, if it reacts any differently to a normal wild shape form. So that's why it's undecided, because if it doesn't react to it, it'll still be good. It just won't be as exciting because all of that damage potential is kind of off the table. I still think, honestly, even without it, it would be a winner. But I had to put some stuff in undecided, so that's why. And Cosmic Omen over here is a passive feature that allows Circle of Stars to consult the stars whenever longer. Okay, I thought I would talk about this more. So this cantrip allows users to grant a temporary bonus to creatures' ability checks, to their attack rolls, to their saving throws, to their attack rolls, to their saving throws. So basically, you're either going to put this on an enemy or on you for either a benefit or a penalty, depending on, right? So increase is the veil. Decrease is woe. So basically, depending on what rolls for you is what you'll have access to for your benefits or your deductions, which would be really cool. Now, the other one that's on the fence for me is the Way of the Drunken Master. And it's mainly more, I just don't know how the drunk mechanic is going to interplay with the game. I have not really played around with it. So you're immune to the negative effects of being drunk, and once per day when you drink alcohol, you regain half your key points rounded down, which is really good. It just gives you so many more key points to take advantage of as a monk. You also get performance, which is cool. Punch, you get this one cool drunken technique for a bonus action and a key point. Punch twice in quick succession, which is basically your same one as you had before, and grant yourself an additional 10 feet movement and disengage, or the benefits of disengage, sorry. So you could use this, then move somewhere else. So it's a really great capability as a bonus action to give you some room and pour on a little more damage. Intoxicating Strike, hit a creature with your bare fists and possibly get them drunk. Leap to your feet, so when you're prone, standing up costs you 5 feet of your movement instead. Only uses, 5 feet of your movement. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can spend 1 key point as a reaction to make them attack a new target if possible, which is really cool. And since you have such a great access to key, it's a great defensive capability. Every time Intoxicating Strike hits, the monk gains life of the party, which increases armor class and attack rolls against drunk targets. This effect can stack. And then Sobering Realization is a primary action with a key. Hit a drunk target and sober them up, dealing bonus psychic damage. On a successful hit, the monk also loses life of the party. So I think there's an interplay here between Sobering Realization and life of the party, where you try to get stacks of this going out of control. When you make an ability check, or for Drunkard's Luck, when you make an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw and have disadvantage on the roll, you can spend 2 key points to negate the disadvantage for that roll. So an interesting one. It's kind of a little bit like, oh, I really need I need this roll here right now. You can use 2 key points to make that happen. And for Sobering Realization, so here's the damage, is what I wanted to show off. It's bludgeoning, of course, because we're using our fists, but it's 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier for psychic. So that will be interesting to see how that kind of works in conjunction with life of the party, because I don't know, much about this, right? They gain armor class and attack rolls against the drunk targets. I don't know what that stack look like, what's the amount look like, any of those things. So all those things are going to kind of change how all this works. But what does drunk mean? That's an important one. So they have drunk, disadvantage on dex and charisma checks. So you'll just be able to basically dish this out a ton. And why I think this one's the hardest one to really look at on paper is because we just don't know how all this is going to play together. And I don't know the numbers enough to give you a good idea whether this is a quote unquote winner or a loser. I think that this has the potential really to be a really cool subclass. I'm not really sure how I'd multi-class it, because I'd have to really kind of look at what all this does together, because which one of these is the point at which I stop investing into the character, right? If I am going to multi-class, maybe it's just Intoxicating Strike, and I'll use the drunk mechanic of reducing their dex and charisma to, I don't know, throw fireballs at them. Isn't that a dex save? I'm just spitballing here. Or maybe it's 6 to get you redirect attack. I'm not sure at what point you'd spin off of this character depending on how these mechanics really work. So those are our 2 undecided. Let's now go into our losers. Starting with Bard, which is unfortunately one of my favorite classes. College of Glamour is, I guess it's kind of okay. In tabletop and whatnot. I've just, as far as like the colleges go, for me, Swords was one of my favorite. I think I'd rather get one of the other ones, like, I don't know, like Creation or Whispers. I don't even know much about those other ones. But Glamour is not too exciting for me, because I think it really only has very limited multi-class options, in my opinion. And this is kind of lackluster to me. So Mantle of Inspiration, imbue 2 allies with your vigor and grant them 5 temp hit points. If they hit with a melee attack, the attacker becomes charmed. So it's cool you can charm something, and like those 2 allies can now charm targets, and charm's great, right? Can attack spellcaster. Spellcaster has advantage on charisma checks and dialogue charmed. But 5 temp hit points sucks. It's only good at level 3. And remember, you can only get temp hit points from one source, and the source with the highest amount of temp hit points takes precedence. So this is just easily gets overwritten. I think this would be better if this was 5 temp hit points plus charisma bonus, plus like half your bard level, something that would make the temp hit points scale with your adventure throughout the game. Unfortunately, I think at base level, it's not too awesome. And this too, I'm using a bardic inspiration to do that. So it feels kind of crappy compared to all the other bardic inspirations I could do with other subclasses. And then at level 6, Mantle of Majesty, command a creature to flee, move closer, freeze, drop to the ground, or drop its weapon. Basically, just get command. Targets that are charmed automatically fail their saving throw. Recharge on a long rest. So I can only use this once per long rest, and it's a command. Unfortunately, the College of Glamour just doesn't have anything. That's it, right? Like that's all it's got access to. Any one of the other colleges is just so much cooler and so much more engaging, in my opinion, and offers so many more subclass options. I'm sorry, multi-class options for the Bard. So unfortunately, College of Glamour is a loser for me. Oath of the Crown is our Paladin Oath. And again, this one seems like kind of a miss, I guess, in the sense that Oath of Conquest is already in the game, and it's fucking cool. I have a theory. I have made a $10 bet with Remortis that he did not accept, but I'm making it, so I don't care. I think that they'll probably do another round of subclasses around the anniversary of the game, because this is also the 50th anniversary of D&D, and I know they're playing around with more subclasses and other stuff with that. So I could see them doing one final, hey, here's patch 9 midway through summer, here's patch 10 at our anniversary, and now the game's on maintenance patching. I could see them doing something like that. I don't know. It's Larian. They do cool stuff all the time. So I'm hoping that we do get an Oath of the Conquest. Oath of the Crown is very simple. It's very similar to what's this other oath? Devotion. It's very similar thematically, tenets-wise, to Oath of Devotion for me. So you get Righteous Clarity, target yourself or an ally to additionally grant the target's proficiency bonus to their attack rolls. That's pretty cool. Champion Challenge, challenge the enemies around you, compelling them to attack only you. Any attacks they might make against other targets have disadvantage. So basically this is Compelled Duel as a non-concentration technique across, what is it? Does it say the range here? Maybe 30 feet? 30 feet, yeah, so 30 feet. And Compelled Duel is the spell allows spellcasters to compel an enemy to ignore other targets and attack only a spellcaster within 60 feet. You choose one target. It's the same exact thing, just not a concentration ability, and it's only 30 feet, and it's an AoE. So you basically have that now as your this guy, this thing, not Channel Divinity, Charge of the Oath me down, daddy, whatever it's called. Turn the Tide, shout out and heal all nearby non-enemy creatures, which is sick, right? You'd think that's pretty cool. Let's take a look at what the actual healing on it is. 1d6 plus charisma modifier, 30-foot radius. Or we take an Oath of the Ancients, which gives us Channel Oath, that's what it's called, by the way. Healing Radiance, which is proficiency bonus, plus paladin level, plus charisma modifier, hit points, and it's a much tighter, I think it's 10 feet. This is, yeah, it's 10 feet. So you get a bigger AoE with Turn the Tide by 30 feet. But this does all these on turn 1, then regain the same amount on the next turn for the same investment. It's just such a better capability. So it sucks because that's one of your crucial resources, right? So you're either going to heal everyone or you're going to use that depending on what level you are, right? How many you've got. So it just falls short for me. Command and Compel Duel, whatever. Warding Bond and Spiritual Weapon, okay. Divine Allegiance. When an ally within 5 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to magically substitute your own health for your allies, taking the damage instead of them. So that's a really cool capability. That's at level 7. So this takes place of their subclass unique aura if they would have one. And then at level 9, you get Spirit Guardians, which is really good, and Crusader's Mantle, which is also pretty good, but you're probably going to choose Spirit Guardians over the other. This is a tank. It is a tried and true tank. This would work very well with Sentinel and Polearm Mastery because you're getting the capability to pull people into fighting you. You have all the capabilities to then lock them into that range with you with Sentinel. Then using your Polearm Mastery, you can use a whole bunch of interplay with those. But that's really the only way I see this being a really cool oath. I just don't think it has the application across much multi-classing or even from a pure standpoint to be much of anything other than a pure tank, and that's really it. So unfortunately for me, the Oath of the Crown is a miss. Then our last one here is the Swarmkeeper Ranger. And I don't like this even in tabletop, man. I think it's just really not a very interesting ranger, personally. I would have liked to have seen maybe more of a melee focused what's this called, melee focused ranger. But honestly, I would have loved to have seen the Drake Warden as basically, if those that don't know what a Drake Warden is, just think of a Beastmaster, but you summon a Drake, to put it in the most layman terms possible. Or like if you played Final Fantasy 12, was that the first MMO? Yeah, 11 or 12, whichever one, the first MMO that every time you died, you lost experience. When you play a Dragoon, you get a little Drake pet that fights with you. That's a Drake Warden. That would have been sick. That would have been so fun. Because the Beastmaster is way better in this game than it was in tabletop. So, or at least a lot of the options were too. So what you get here is Prey Scent. Your swarm deals additional damage to creatures marked by Hunter's Mark. Choose the swarm of nature spirits you've formed a bond with. You can change your swarm whenever you level up. So basically, you're locked into this every level. Legion of Bees. Once per round, the swarm assists you on the one of 3 ways after you attack an enemy. So it can attack and deal piercing damage, push the enemy away from you, or teleport you to a safer location. So it's cool the way that these do work, though. I just think that what they do is kind of a little lackluster. Because Legion of Bees here, I think it's 1d6. I don't know what the amount here is. Of course, the big thing is using Hunter's Mark in addition, because Prey Ascent is the same thing from the Beastmaster that allows for extra damage to hit Hunter's Mark stuff. But this means that you have to use a bonus action to cast Hunter's Mark. And then you have to worry about making sure that you get that going and keep that combo going, right? Because if you kill someone with Hunter's Mark, you can cast it again for free. Moving on. Cloud of Jellyfish. You have 3 things that happen. You can attack and deal additional lightning damage, shock your enemy, or teleport you to a safer location. And Flurry of Moths is the same thing, but you deal additional psychic damage, or blind an enemy, or teleport you to a safer location. So, I mean, honestly, what I think is probably the coolest thing to do Swarmkeeper with would be the Arcane Archer, and have it just play with all the arcane shots you're going to do, and have it give you the ability to push things away from you, or have you teleport to a different location as an Arcane Archer. I think like that's kind of one of the coolest ways you could use this class right now, as an immediate kind of comes to mind. Also, too, you could use this class if you're playing on a cleric that's using maybe like lightning, or if you're playing focusing on psychic damage, you can play around with that. So there are ways you can get the Swarmkeeper to do stuff. I just think it's kind of lackluster at the same time. Writhing Tide, you can condense part of your swarm into a focused mass that lifts you up, granting you a flying speed of 10 feet and protecting you from surface effects. And Mighty Swarm. Your swarm has grown stronger. The swarm's regular attacks now deal 1d8 rather than 1d6. Its special attack, I think it's 1d6. It should be, at least. Its special attack has 1 additional feature, and teleporting with your swarm now increases your armor class for the rest of the round. It just requires you to get to level 11. It's kind of like the downfall of the Beastmaster, right? Beastmaster is really good. And even if you're not going to go all the way to level 11, you can still get a pretty good serviceable pet that's going to really help you out. But level 11 is when that pet gets really monstrous, no pun intended. So for me, I think the Swarmkeeper definitely has potential. It just doesn't have enough going for it that I really want to play around a lot with it compared to a lot of the other subclasses that we're getting with this patch. And I think Swarmkeeper is one that people were actually pretty excited about too. So you can go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Do you fully disagree with my stance on Swarmkeeper, and this is why? You're like, no, dude, you can do it just like this and have all these great capabilities. I'm so open to it, right? Like Legion of Bees, maybe that works really well if you're playing like a swashbuckler and you play around with that and use that as an ability to move around. Cloud of Jellyfish, like I said, with a Storm Sorcerer or a Tempest Cleric, or Flurry of Moths using the psychic damage bonuses on any of the other new psychic damage stuff. So a lot of really fun ways and things that you can do with the Swarmkeeper is definitely evident. I just think I wish it were like a Drake Warden or something else a little bit cooler for the Ranger. So at that, it brings our video here to a close. And go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Like I said, are there different takes that you have on this? Do you find that some of these winners are actually losers? Some of these undecided are actually full-fledged winners, full-fledged losers. Some of these losers are actually winners, whatever it is. And go ahead and let me know too, what class combinations are you excited about? Are you going to play the Blade Singer with, I don't know, a Barbarian, dude? Like, are you going to go completely ass wild in that direction? Whatever it is, let it be known below. As always, guys, I'm really stoked on jumping into patch 8, but have a good one and take care.